Hybrid class is definitely an interesting concept for a game like Forsaken, and technically we do have one, which is two time. But let's be honest here, their gameplay feels more like a stealth sentinel than the branded survival sentinel hybrid. They don't really have a way to escape or extend chases, and the best option is basically landing a trick stab, which is a lot harder to pull off in practice than it sounds. However, there is a survivor who, in my opinion, has the feeling of a playstyle of a hybrid survivor, and that's Taff. In this video, I'll be talking about how and why Taff feels as a hybrid survivor and how that makes his playstyle stand out as something truly unique. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we?
Toothless kind of hot? Who the fuck is that? The dragon from Outer Time! Stop!
Okay, before we get into why I personally consider Taff to be a hybrid class survivor, let me first explain the three main survivor classes currently in the game. This will help set the stage and smooth things out for everyone. First, we got the Survivalist. As the name suggests, this class specializes in survival. These survivors are equipped with abilities that help during chases, whether it's a speed boost like Noob's Boxy Cola, or tools to escape killers like O7's clone ability. However, while they excel at staying alive, survivalists usually lack a way to support their teammates. Their main contributions to the team often come down to completing generators and staying out of harm's way. Support survivors are all about helping their team. Their ability kits are designed for healing, boosting defenses, or slowing down killers to give teammates breathing room. They're often the backbone of a coordinated team. That said, support survivors typically have a noticeable downsides. For example, Elliot, Tusker, and Billerman all have lower HP than average and usually lack reliable escape tools, making them vulnerable if caught alone. And lastly, we got Sentinel. Sentinels are the frontline defenders of the survivor team. Their main role is to disrupt and stun killers, buying time and creating openings to rescue teammates or extend chases. Some Sentinels can heal themselves, but usually at a cost. Take 2 time. For instance, he needs to a safe backstab to stun a killer and heal for a solid 2 HP. Or Shaletsky, who uses his fried chicken ability to heal but gets slowed down while eating, creating a dangerous opening for the killer to strike. So where's Taff in these classes? Well, in the game, he's officially listed under the support category, and this is a good time to go over his one interesting stat out of all support survivors. He has an unusual HP of 100, which is the same as any standard survivor in the game. This makes him the only support with full 100 base HP. Aside from that, his walk speed, run speed, and stamina regeneration are all average, nothing out of the ordinary. So, yeah.
Why am I reaching you at the coordinates of the abandoned space station?
Taff's kit is somewhat similar to Billerman's in that both require careful setup. Just like Billerman needs to find a good spot for a sentry, Taff needs to find smart places to hide his traps. Both of them lean toward a non-active support playstyle, helping the team not by direct interaction, but by setting up tools or defenses that others can use. They often watch from a distance while their setups assist fellow survivors, whether it's traps or turrets. In fact, Billerman and Taff are currently the only non-active support survivors in the game. Their abilities rely on setting things up in advance, like turrets or traps, and letting the teammates benefit from them indirectly. On the other hand, Tusker and Elliot are examples of active support survivors who need to be out of field, directly interacting with teammates to provide healing and buffs during high-pressure situations. Okay, why am I explaining this? Well, you see, in order to get the most value out of a non-active support survivor, you actually have to be active on the field. Okay, let me explain. Billerman and Taff can just set up traps or buildings in one area and camp there the entire match until it ends. But if they do that, they won't be getting the maximum value from their kits. Billerman's sentry only works if the killer is in range to be slowed down. Taff's tripwires and trip mines also need the killer to physically trigger them, obviously. So for both of them, if they want to get the best value of their kits and help their teammates, they need to be on the field, actively placing and using their tools. But here's the problem. It's not that easy to do. Billerman needs a whopping 6 seconds to build his sentry or dispensers. So, if the killer spots him mid-build, he's basically easy prey. It's Actually kind of interesting how a non-active support swimmer has to take the risk of being out in the open and possibly dying in order to help their teammates. The only exception is when Blurman's deploying a dispenser. In that case, it's better to hide so the killer doesn't destroy it. Now, Taff has the same basic risk as Billerman, but he's got a much better chance of hiding himself while laying traps near the killer. Unlike Billerman, who makes loud construction noises when building a central dispenser, Taff is completely silent when setting his traps. This allows him to place them dangerously close to the killer's path and still stay undetected, which can be a huge advantage for supporting his team. And on top of that, if his traps are well hidden, they can become a nasty surprise for a killer. And when Taff is the last survivor standing, those traps become even more valuable. With tripwires scattered around the map and a bloxicle in hand, he got a strong chance of surviving, whether that means using them to help his teammates or saving himself. Taff can be selfish and prioritize his own safety, or he can help the team by sneakily setting up traps. Back then, support buildings weren't highlighted to nearby survivors, so Taff's traps were mainly used for himself. Today, with support buildings now being highlighted, his traps are more team-oriented, but even now, a Taff player can still choose to play selfishly if they think it's the smarter move. And honestly, sometimes it is the smarter move, especially if their teammates are, well, let's just say less than reliable. Help me out, dude! Shaletsky! Shaletsky! Help me! Shaletsky! Shaletsky! Okay, so how good Taff would be if he was a pure survivalist character? Not gonna lie, he kinda sucks. Yes, he has the biggest chance and potential for survival out of all support survivors. But that only comes with prep time. Without it, he's basically 2 times before their rework. Getting caught off guard and prepared as Taff is almost always a death sentence. His subspace takes too long to throw to be reliable in the chase. And his tripwires, you'll never realistically set one down mid-chase, not gonna lie. That's why Taff needs to keep the heat off his back and spend time preparing good trap placements. Having a settler act as bait while Taff sets up is actually one of the best ways to maximize his value. And when it comes to last survivor standing, Taff's odds depends entirely on preparation and a killer's game knowledge. If a Taff player has, say, 3 tripwires and a subspace placed around the map, and they haven't been triggered yet, then he's in a great position to survive. But if he hasn't set up anything, his chance plummet. And once again, he's basically 2 times pre-rework. Taff is kind of like Batman. With enough prep time, he's got a massive advantage, but with no prep time, his odds of survival are pretty low. Honestly, no. While Taff feels like a hybrid thanks to his ability to play both selfishly and supportively, his core identity is not of a support survivor. His value comes from laying down traps to aid his team, not from extended chases and also helping his team, like a true hybrid of support and survivalist. Yes, he can fend for himself if needed, and yes, he kinda blurs the line between survivalist and support, but that doesn't mean his class needs to be rebranded. What makes Taff unique is that he plays like a pseudo-hybrid without actually being one, and changing that will strip away that what makes him stand out. The only reason Taff feels like a hybrid between support and survivalist is because of what I mentioned earlier. Back then, support buildings weren't highlighted to nearby survivors. That meant Taff's traps were mainly used for himself rather than for his team, which made him look more like a hybrid than a pure support. Taff might give off the impression of being a hybrid between survivalist and support, but in reality, he's firmly a support survivor. The reason he sometimes feels like a hybrid goes back to when support buildings weren't highlighted for teammates, making his traps mostly useful for himself. Today, his value shines the brightest when he uses his traps to help others, though he still has the option to play selfishly if the situation calls for it. He has better survivability than other supports, but that all depends on preparation. Without it, he's fragile with hit, he can be a nightmare for the killer. At the end of the day, Taff isn't a hybrid, he doesn't need to be. His uniqueness comes from walking the line between selfish play and team play, giving him a distinct identity that makes him one of the most interesting supports in Forsaken. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like this video and want to see more of it, subscribe and leave a like. It really helps me grow as a creator and also helps me a lot in real life. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on my next video. Goodbye!